Scene 1 starts with 2 guards at Elsinore Castle who see the ghost of the dead king of Denmark. Meanwhile, King Claudius, the dead king's brother, has married Queen Gertrude, Hamlet's mother and widow of the dead king. New King Claudius and Queen Gertrude both try to get Hamlet out of his deep depression over his father's death. When everyone leaves, Hamlet admits that something feels very wrong about his mother marrying his uncle only a month after her first husband's death. Polonius, King Claudius's advisor, gives advice to his son Laertes, who is leaving to return to school, and to his daughter Ophelia, who is in love with Hamlet. Meanwhile, Hamlet meets the ghost. The ghost of the dead king tells his son that King Claudius murdered him to marry Queen Gertrude and become king. The ghost demands that Hamlet get revenge on his uncle Claudius, but makes him promise not to seek revenge on his mother. In Act 2, King Claudius decides to bring in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, 2 suck-up friends of Hamlet's, to try and see why Hamlet is acting so crazy. Meanwhile, everyone ignores the fact that Fortinbras, the Prince of Norway, is coming to invade Denmark. No one pays it that much attention. When a group of actors come to the castle, Hamlet employs them to put on a play, The Murder of Gonzago, which shows a man murdering his brother, the king. Hamlet has decided to act crazy to hide from everyone the fact that he is plotting his revenge against King Claudius. Unfortunately, he cannot reveal this plan to Ophelia, whom he used to date. When Ophelia tries to talk to Hamlet, he treats her awfully and she runs away devastated. Hamlet counsels the actors how to act. During the play, King Claudius becomes enraged at the exact moment when the poisoner poisons the king in the performance. Hamlet now knows that his father's ghost spoke the truth and Claudius was his father's murderer. However, when everyone leaves and Claudius prays for forgiveness, Hamlet cannot bring himself to kill the king while he is in prayer. Hamlet confronts his mother and accuses her of being an adulterer, a whore, a murderess, and betraying her husband with his brother. The ghost appears to Hamlet and reminds him not to seek revenge upon his mother. Suddenly, Hamlet hears a voice in hiding. Thinking it's King Claudius, Hamlet stabs the hiding person only to discover that he has killed the king's advisor, Polonius. King Claudius decides to have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern take Hamlet to England and have the English kill Hamlet. Meanwhile, on an open plain, Hamlet meets a captain of Fortinbras' army. He learns that Fortinbras is close to invading the country of Denmark. Hamlet is ashamed at his own inaction and admires Fortinbras for taking the initiative. Hamlet decides he will finally get revenge on King Claudius. In the last 3 scenes of Act 4, Ophelia goes crazy from her father's death and Hamlet's poor treatment of her. Laertes, Ophelia's brother, returns home to find his father dead and sister crazy. Shortly after, Ophelia commits suicide. When Claudius learns that Hamlet is not yet dead, he hatches a plan with Laertes to kill Hamlet in a fencing match. They will lace Laertes' sword with poison and also put poison in a drink that they will give to Hamlet. In the last act of the play, Hamlet both achieves wisdom and suffers great loss. He returns to Denmark having outsmarted Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, and King Claudius by switching the letters ordering his execution. Hamlet comes to a graveyard and discusses death with 2 comical gravediggers before realizing he is at the grave of Ophelia, who committed suicide. Hamlet and Laertes fight in her grave. When Hamlet is challenged to the duel, he accepts, even though his friend Horatio warns him it is a trap. Hamlet knows, but he feels he must now take action and stop avoiding conflict. At the duel, Gertrude accidentally drinks from the poisoned chalice, and to King Claudius's horror, she dies. Laertes strikes Hamlet with the poisoned sword, but Hamlet is quicker, and he stabs Laertes with the same sword. Then, Hamlet strikes Claudius with the poisoned sword and forces him to drink from the poisoned chalice. Claudius dies. Then Hamlet dies. And Fortinbras enters. He praises Hamlet and mourns that he did not live. Had Hamlet lived and possibly taken action quicker, everyone believes Hamlet would have made an excellent king. Hamlet is given a soldier's funeral. Hamlet procrastinates from taking action one way or another on the ghost's demands to get revenge, and consequently, the entire country of Denmark is invaded by Fortinbras's army, and the entire royal family is killed. Had Hamlet acted quicker to expose King Claudius as a murderer, he could have succeeded Claudius and saved the country. Hamlet, the ghost, and King Claudius all believe there is a God and order to the universe that punishes those who commit evil acts. In fact, Hamlet is possibly the most famous of William Shakespeare's plays because it deals with the heaviest themes: the fear of death, how to live, God, and the afterlife. Through this story, Shakespeare investigates the biggest questions that have always gripped humankind. Hamlet is the name of the main character, the Prince of Denmark who must get revenge for his father's death. It is also the name of Hamlet's father, the ghost, so you might want to point out that there's an interesting irony in the title. It refers to both father and son, the dead and the living. It is also interesting to note that Shakespeare had a son, Hamnet, who died shortly before he wrote this play. It is often theorized that this play deals with Shakespeare's grief over the death of his young son. Shakespeare was born around April 23rd, 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. When Shakespeare was quite young,
"You're gonna marry up, boy,"
he got a local girl, Anne Hathaway, 8 years older than him, pregnant, and they married quickly. Most people believe that Shakespeare wrote the majority of his plays between 1590 to 1613, often turning out 1 to 2 plays a year. Shakespeare's plays can be divided into 4 categories: histories, tragedies, comedies, and romances. Hamlet is considered to be Shakespeare's most famous tragedy, and indeed his most famous play. And if you want to cover your butt and get a decent grade in class, read at least 2 of the acts in the play. It'll only take you about 2 hours. We recommend acts 3 and 5. Your teacher will know right away if you just went to this website, so you want to read some of it on your own to get a good grade. And who knows, you may actually like Shakespeare.